We are looking at logo design and branding basics, and our objective will be to make sure that every student will gain a foundational understanding of logo principles and their role in building a cohesive brand identity. By the end of the lesson, every student should be able to create logos that will visually represent a brand's mission and values. Welcome to the Design Mastery Bootcamp course by JBSN Media, and we would like to look at what we would be doing for week 2. So in week 2 on Monday we'll be doing logo design and branding basics, followed by Wednesday. For Wednesday's class we will be looking at graphic design tools such as Canva, Pixel Lab, Microsoft Word, Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, and how to use these tools to design. I think they're supposed to be here. Yes, so we'll be using these various apps to design. Some of you are conversant with some, and others are yet to learn or know about the others. Now, we also have Adobe Illustrator as well, and we will take you through what each of them do. These are tools which professionals use in creating designs of various sorts. On Friday we'll be looking at creativity in graphic design. This time we're looking at the creativity aspect. Last week Friday we did creativity in graphic design, but that was on imitation. So this week we'll be looking at creating our flyers, having our own ideas, coming up with our own ideas to create a flyer. We'll zoom right into today's lesson, as today's lesson is on logo design and branding basics. On Tuesday and Thursday we shall have 2 assignments coming up aside the activities which you may have, and on Thursday we shall have 2 other assignments. There is the flyer a day FAD flyers too. Before the end of the week you will be giving your FAW assignment number 2. The deadline is on Sunday. Okay, so what is logo design and what are logos? So to understand a logo, it's important for logos, okay, you have to know what the logo is and why it's important for a brand's recognition. Okay, so brands are represented by logos and other things, but logos is just a representative of a company, of an institution, or is just a representative of the idea behind something or a company, sometimes a brand too as well. Now, what are some of the types of logo that we have out there? With the type of logos, you would realize that if you think about logo, okay, first example of a logo that you have is all the icons that you have on your phone app, from Telegram to WhatsApp to the phone itself you are using, whether Android, Samsung, or iOS or Apple phones. They all have logos, and these logos are these designs, or the logos is what we use to represent that company or that brand or that item or that product. Okay, now how are these logos? What forms do they come in? What are the types that we have? We have logos which are type based or text based, okay, which use word marks. So you have a logo like Samsung, which is just text based. They don't have any picture or shape to depict Samsung. It's just SAMSUNG, and that's a type text based logo. We also have letter marks, also called monograms, where you take a letter and add some design to it to create some emphasis or reshape the way the letter looks, and you have your letter marks logos. We also have iconic logos or symbolic logos, which basically they use icons, okay, they use pictures, or they use an abridged version of a picture. It can be a horse, it can be the horseshoe, it could be anything. If it's I want to, if it's for instance a logo for KFC, you see the word KFC, but uh, not KFC, sorry. For logos like KFC, there's that bucket, white, red and white bucket. For for other companies, they may use some sort of icons. Okay, we'll have a look at the examples later. Aside that, we also have combination marks, where you'd include a text and a symbol, or a text in a shape, or you can have emblem logos too as well. And for the emblem logos, we are looking at creating logos where you'd have a text embedded in a shape, or you can have a circle around a combination of text or group of texts, or you can have both. Okay, that's how basically all the logos come as. And so one thing you'd want to do as you are learning this course is to try and see and identify what you are being taught in your daily life. Okay, so you can look anywhere, look at any brand, look at their logo, and try and ask yourself, is this text based, or is this a monogram, is this a symbolic logo, is this a text combination with a symbol? Basically, you would realize that all the logos that you would see around you should fit this criteria, or this group. Now we have key principles of effective logo design. We have simplicity. Okay, what is simplicity? So simplicity is where you are looking at why simple logos are more memorable and versatile. With simplicity, it's a way to get your logos done. You can start a logo, or a designer will start a logo being very complex. Okay, especially for logos which are symbol based, or they are image based. For instance, you have a company and they are into trimming, a barbering salon, they're into trimming hair. Once you want to use a person's face as a logo, you see it's very complex. But you can take, for instance, the beard. Okay, you take a picture of a person in a beard, you make it a cartoon, you make it look cartoonish, then you simplify it, so you are left with maybe just a beard shape. Okay, or you are left with probably just scissors, or sometimes you can, even with the scissors shape, you can just take out some portions for it to look very simple. So that's how some of the logos are. Some of the logos too are very versatile, and with these ones, they ensure that the logo works across multiple mediums such as print, web, mobile, and etc. With versatile logos, you want to make sure that once you are putting your logo, once you want to convert your logo to perhaps video or motion graphics, it should be able to work. Okay, for basic, or for the beginners, once you create your logo, you ask yourself, am I able to use this as a letterhead? Am I able to use this as a logo on for instance, a signboard? Okay, would it fit well in a website? Would it fit well for mobile phones? The logo should be able to fit well within any of these environments. Okay, now the logos you make should be scalable. So you want to know how to create logos that look good in small and large sizes. If you have a logo which is very complex, once it's small, it becomes very hard to figure out the details of the logo. And when it's big too, it may look too flat. So sometimes you may want to go for either ends of the scalability, or you may want to try and balance it out. Okay, at the same time, the logo you would make, or logos you see, would be memorable. Techniques to make logos distinctive and easy to recognize. Okay, so we have a lot of companies starting with C. A group of brothers are called Charles and I'm not getting any other word, but we have let's say Charles and Kobe, Charles and the C names are finished in my mind, but we have Charles and, let's say, Kobe. Okay, so Charles and Kobe wants to create a logo, and they want it to be it to be letter based, okay, or text based, and they want to use their names. So we have CNC. You can go ahead on Google and search for CNC logos, and you'll find a lot of logos called CNC. The only difference would be how you would create yours and the techniques you would use in making that logo stand out. And so your CNC has to be memorable. If you have a lot of CNCs, what makes your CNC stand out from another? Is it the text you are using, or is it how the effects or the way you go about the logo that would make that logo CNC? You have to make sure that, and it's because the logo directly affects the brand, and so once your logo isn't memorable, we will tend to um, we wouldn't really get that visual picture. We wouldn't be able to memorize your logo and associate it with the brand, and so that logo wouldn't have solved an issue, or wouldn't have been, I wouldn't be able to identify that person's CNC company. Okay, so you try and make sure that the CNC logo that you do at the end of the day, there's just an example though, it's memorable, it doesn't look like another CNC company's own. Okay, next one, we have relevance. Now you have to align the logo design with the brand messaging and the audience. If we are looking at, so you are looking at the relevance of a logo. If your logo, okay, is looking futuristic, meanwhile the company or the logo, the audience that you are looking at are people who are old, or people who are from a different generation, it may not appeal to them. Okay, you don't want to create a logo for, say, a salon, and it's looking like a tech logo. Okay, you have to make sure that you align the logo's design with the brand, the kind of message you are trying to use. Sometimes you may refer to that as appropriation, using the right appropriation for some of the logos, okay, as it defines the brand's identity. Now, for the psychology of shapes and colors, we are looking at the reasons why, or what are the meanings behind, or what do we perceive when we see some shapes and some colors. Okay, for shapes, when you see, for usually, if you'd realize, most organizations would use circular logos, okay, and it stands for unity, it stands for trust, because of the way the circle shape is. It's sort of depicting unity. That's how we designers we term that. And so if it's a company, you are looking at a company, an organization or an institution, it will be more, you'd usually use a circular shape for that. Okay, now all these things we are teaching is just meant for you to understand how people came about with some of the logos. Okay, now we also have angular logos. Angular logos mean that the shapes aren't as smooth as circles, so they have edgy shapes, or they are angular in shape. Okay, and so you're looking at triangles, rectangles, um, pentagons, and other polygonal shapes. Okay, now those ones stand for stability and strength. So if for instance the honeycomb, if you have a brand and their name is honeycomb, you'd want to use a polygon shape, okay, with the edge there. That's just depicting probably the fact that yes, it's standing for strength and stability. And you realize that honey and the hexagon shape are usually used interchangeably. Why? Because aside the fact that it was inspired from nature, that shape is very stable. Stable in terms of you can overlap them to each other, and you actually get a stable structure. Now, these are some of the ideas that designers can have when it comes to logos, and it informs their decision in choosing some shapes, or using an emblem sort of shape. Okay, now we also have abstract images. Sometimes you may use abstract images which may depict innovation, creativity, and so you see that with tech logos, they may not have that fixed shape. They may have different shapes, they have different polygons, or the shapes may be looking 3D or different, just not the usual thing you see. Now with colors, okay, colors also have their meanings. If you go to color theory class, you would realize that we also spoke about colors there too as well. And so with colors, we are looking at red for passion and energy, blue for trust and professionalism, green for growth and nature. So depending on what you are working on, then you would decide to use these colors, okay, or merge two or three together. Yellow stands for happiness and optimism, whilst black and white is for luxury and simplicity, okay. And you would attest to the fact that these things are sort of a general rule that people use when they are using designers use when they are making logos. Now, how do you choose the right color scheme for a brand's identity? It depends on the brand's color. Okay, it depends on what the brand stands for. If it's a nature, um, a company where they are about nature, they are about renewable resources, you don't want to use natural colors, and that should probably depict the brand's identity. But sometimes too, brands have colors. So we have brand colors. So MTN has a brand color, and that is yellow. Vodafone or Telecel now has a brand color that is red. Stanbic Bank blue. Um, Depending on it, okay, on the company. And so once we see yellow and we see other things, we may just associate that to that brand color. But once you see MTN having a flyer and it's red, and at that point the designer, the designer is just doing what he wants. But yes, that's brand identity. So we associate the colors to that. But sometimes you depending on the brand you are working with, they may have an identity, and they say, okay, they may give you they may let you know that, okay, these are the colors that we usually go in for. Okay, yes. So basically that's about choosing the right colors. It depends on what the brand wants to use. Now, what's the logo process? Okay, what is the logo process? So logo process has to do with creating our logo. Before we create our logos, because they are how the company wants to represent itself. Take note, logos represent the company, they represent the organization. It's not, it doesn't show what the company does, it's just a representation. And we can use, for instance, if we have an electricity company, it's not it wouldn't be ideal to use a light bulb to show that, yeah, that's an electricity company. No, the logo isn't meant to show what the company does per se. It depends on you. Remember I said that graphic design, there are no rules, but for electricity company you may probably use their values, what they are looking at achieving, okay, at the end of the day. And that's how it speaks. The logo would speak to other bigger corporations, and uh, that's how logos are usually made. Okay, that's if you're actually taking your time to think about it. You get to just do anything. That's another part of it. So we look at researching and discovering. Okay, and discovery too as well. You first have to understand what their mission is, what's their target. Okay, who are their competitors? Let's make sure we are not doing anything similar to their competitor. Let's make sure that our logo that we are bringing out there, it's able to attract the audience that they are looking at. You have to also brainstorm and sketch ideas. Yes, logo has to do with a lot of sketching. Either you are sketching on the paper, or you are sketching with the PC, you are sketching with the app that you are using to generate the initial logo concept, and then refine it. Okay, with logos is just a concept that you create, and then later you refine it. And so with logos, you are able to create. If someone asks you for a logo, you start with one and move to another, and you are just refining the logo until you get the last step. Okay, and so your research is very necessary. You have to know what the company is about and make sure that you're doing something good for them, if it's probably what they want. And then you brainstorm, and then you come to the digital creation of the logo. With the digital creation of the logo, we are looking at bringing the sketches into digital tools like Canva and Illustrator. In most, like, usually logos is Illustrator you'll be using. You come to why that is that. But and after that, you refine the designs. Next, you'll be having feedbacks. and you would be doing revisions. Okay, so you gather the feedbacks from the brand and you adjust the design depending on what the brand says. Oh, I don't like it, maybe the color, maybe change the text here or something. That's all part of the logo process, and then you finalize it. How do you finalize it? You prepare the final job in multiple formats. Okay, and once you do that for the client, they're able to use it anywhere. Okay, so that's what you do. Now, when it comes to delivering logos, there's a whole lot of ways of delivering logos. You could come across mockups, you come across PNG, JPEG, and just a brief overview on the delivery. These are the two things you need to know. There's JPG or JPEG, and there's PNG. Okay, PNG stands for portable network graphics, and JPEG stands for, honestly I've forgotten. But yes, we have JPEG and PNG. Basically, for layman's definition, PNG means that it has a transparent background, and so whatever image that you do, if you want to keep maintain its transparent background or its transparency, you use PNG format. If by format, please, for those of you who are not into good with IT, format means that the ending the .jpg, that's the file extension. Okay, or you see when you save the file, you see .png. So once it's .png, that's the format in which the file is in. And so PNG files allow you to have transparent background. So if you see my screen over here, I can remove my background here. If I remove the background, that me placing that background as an image on any device, it's a PNG. And if it's, that's for pictures, okay, or for still images. And if I paste the thing in, I still has the white background in it, but when I was in the design, there was no background to it. That's probably just basically a JPEG. The JPEG is just a compressed format of pictures. Okay, there are different formats for pictures and different formats for different files and things, but that's just basically about PNG and JPEG. And so when you make your logo, you want to use PNGs and JPEGs. Aside that, you want to make a white version, a black version. Why? Because sometimes the logos would have to be used on a black background, would have to be used on a white background, and so that is how you go about delivering your logos. Now, when we come to the real life examples, we have case studies like Apple, Nike, Coca-Cola. These are, if you look at their logos, Apple is the text-based logo, Nike is a text and shape. Okay, you have the tick over there, or the mark over there. We have Apple, that's basically the shape of an apple which has been bitten. And these are logos which the designers came up with through making the concept and understanding the brand values. Okay, now how it's good to analyze the logo. So what I want you to do, we'll give you an activity to do. Just go around, analyze logos, look at logos, and look at, okay, how is it text based, is it picture based, or how is the logo made? Okay, why did they use that? Okay, and why is the logo successful as well? Now, sometimes you may have logo redesigns. So just as you make a logo and be redesigning it, sometimes after the logo has been done, they will want to redesign it. And the case of Pepsi is a very interesting case where Pepsi had to did a redesign of their logo, and it was very expensive. At the end of the day, the graphic designer came up with the concepts that they use, why they went with the options, and a whole lot. We'll look at it at the end of the class. Now there's Google, there's Instagram. Some of these companies, as with time, they update their logo. Why would you want to update your logo? Because you would want to let us know that you've rebranded. Okay, and usually when you realize that when most of them rebrand their logos, it's more minimalist, it's more simple, it's more classy. All right, so tools in graphic design. I made a statement earlier on in the previous lessons that usually in graphic design, the design is about you, the designer. However, in logos, is about the tools you are using, honestly. Now, we have to do sketching. Sketching means that you are able to picture it in your mind and put it on a pen and paper. Okay, so you sketch with either a pen, or you can do the sketching in the PC, depending on the app you use. And I mean, Adobe Illustrator is a vector-based program, which means when we say vectors, remember the vector from SHS, the mathematics. Okay, those vectors, where vectors are you have two figures into and they are in brackets. Yes, so vectors are like mathematical equations, and those mathematical equations is what we use, or the PC uses to determine the shapes and things that you draw. Okay, the main difference between a vector and a raster image just means that it's basically any image that you see is a raster image, but a vector is, in layman terms, a vector is just an image that when you extend it, when you enlarge it, when you reduce it, it still maintains its integrity. It still maintains the original size, original shape without losing any pixels. It doesn't lose the quality. No, vectors don't lose quality. However, raster images will lose their quality. Okay, that's why you can. I spoke the last time on how you can pick thumbnails on the internet, and you realize that each of the images have are measured in pixels. Okay, but with vector images we don't do pixels. In raster images we do pixels. Why pixels? Because it's set. Okay, and so if you have a picture which is 1080 by 1080 and I want to project that image on a 4K screen, okay, 4K means that it's around 3160 pixels by something. So even I want to project a 1080, an HD movie, let me use movie, an HD movie on a 4K screen, it may appear blurred. Why? Because the 4K screen is very sharp. It has can accommodate more pixels. But when you are with vectors, it doesn't matter the size of the thing we are placing it on, it will still look good, it will still look intact. So basically that's about that. And tools like Adobe Illustrator, tools like Adobe, like CorelDRAW allow you to draw in vectors. Okay, and so you can do large print format, large printing, and it's still clear. Why? Because they are vectors. Example, when you have all the text that you see, all the typography we've done, usually they are all vectors, and so they are just basically shapes which have been drawn. Okay, and so once you enlarge the text, that's why when you enlarge your text in Microsoft Word, it doesn't become blurred. You understand? Now with pen tool, pen tool is a tool that we will be using basically in logo design. Okay, but in Canva we don't have the pen tool. In some of the phone apps too, we don't use pen tool. What do we use? You'd have to use the understanding of how the logos are and how they look like, and understanding of the tools within Canva to get your logo shape at the end of the day. Now the last thing I'll talk about here is there's a pen tool game online. We'll give you the link. You can go and experiment and see how pen tool actually you can use the pen tool to draw. Okay, now those games that you play will just give you a fair idea of how to use the pen tool, and that should help you understand how logos are made at the end of the day. Now these are some of the things that you should take note of when you are doing designs. Avoid trends. What do I mean by avoid trends? For instance, you see that a lot of people are doing a lot of feature. When you go to Google and look for logos, you see a lot of futuristic logos and things, but don't let that be what you would use in creating someone's logo or you're creating your company logo. Why? Because know that every company has a different target and every company has a different audience too as well. Okay, sometimes too trends will have to do with typography. So you see a font that a lot of us know, Times New Roman. We all know Times New Roman. Don't use Times New Roman for your logo, I beg. When you're doing logos, look for typography or text that we haven't seen before. You understand? Even if it's a serif font, it should look elegant, it should look classic, or it should look very comical, but it shouldn't be something you've seen before. You want to do a classic logo um for let's see, a children's something program or something, or even a children's book, and you go and use Comic Sans, I beg you, don't try that thing. So go and research for the typography that is unique and use that. Okay, and sometimes you can create yours. Yes, you can go as you can go all the way to even creating the text for your type of font. I like you. I'll use MTN for instance. When you see MTN fonts, they look, you can tell this is MTN. You understand? Why? Because it's from MTN. If you look at the John Mahama campaign, his logo that he uses, you see the J over there. it's unique to John Mahama. Right now, even if I use it for something, if I use that same John Mahama font for another item, it may just bring your mind to the Mahama campaign. You understand? So some of the, if you avoid trends, you look for your specific font that you feel like, okay, now you haven't seen it around, but it should meet the brand's values and the audience. Okay, then we would also look at, yes, and usually when you make your logos, you would want to make it black or white, or have a black and white version, either the black one or the white one, or just plain black and white version. Sometimes we start the logos with adding effects and all those things, but when you're done, to also try and make the simplified version too as well. Now in Ghana, yeah, sometimes the logos don't follow all the things I've said. Honestly, all the things I've said right now, AI has generated it for me. Okay, but that is because elsewhere they use that structure. In Ghana, mm, you see, today I was on the move, and I was just looking at logos all around me, and I'm like, this logo makes no sense to the company, but they've used them. It doesn't depict anything, yeah, but mostly in Ghana, use the logos you see are it's typography based. So even if you are going with a Ghanaian trend, when you go for a typography, just make sure to use something which is unique, which is sleek, which is nice, depending on what you are doing. Thank you. All right. There's also imitation and creativity. You can imitate a lot, even with logo designs. We have books for logo designs, and those books for the logo designs are have been imitating people. And sometimes what you do is that you imitate some concepts, then add some other design, someone's design. You merge two concepts together from someone else, merge it together, and voila, you have your new logo design or something. Something you can merge someone's idea with your idea together, and that's it. Okay. And sometimes too, you may decide to go all out and create a logo from scratch. Now, conclusion is that honestly, all logos are derived before they are explained. Okay, and a lot of tools help us to get logos. This is the Pepsi logo. Some people call it a scam. The guy did all these things. He used the Earth's magnetic field, and he used the X core, and he used the galaxy and some other things just to explain the final Pepsi logo, which was like, I think, this one. Yes, and he charged like $1 million for it. It was a lot of pages. Okay, it was more than just this picture, but there's a whole book on the logo explanation at the end of the day. And that's, my friends, is the conclusion of this lesson. Do your logo first before you explain to someone. Aside that, logos are everywhere. When you're creating an event flyer, okay, the name of the event, you will have to create a logo for that. Okay, the program, if for instance you have a letterhead, so we have MTN or KFC has the logo itself, but if they want to do a program, that program you have to develop another logo for it. So it shouldn't be in your minds that logo is just some one time thing. I do the company logo for the company, I'm done. No, when they have an event, letterhead, title, if it's a topic they want to talk about, social media posts, is that mainly events, you have your logos being seen there. And how do you make these logos come out well? You have to add gradient effects, color theory, forms. You can use 3D, perspective, photorealism, add photos together, add shadows, add outlines, make the design as minimalist as possible, and these will project your logos. Okay, that's the end of the lesson for today. Thank you for joining. Look out for the assignments and the activities to this lesson. Thank you.